Yo guys, Kaja King 3000 here, and I have just finished watching Singular Point, and whew, I have a lot to say about the series. So, let me start off by saying that the series itself, in my opinion, I think for most G fans' opinions, is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, guys. I'm not kidding. Like, it's actually pretty decent. I'm sorry, no, not decent. It's fucking good. It's good. It's it's basically like Gravity Falls meets Godzilla. That's 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 the best way to describe it. Is Gravity Falls meets Godzilla, and the story, the characters, the monsters, the series itself was actually pretty good. And yeah, and I will say this too: it is actually way better than the animated trilogy. Like it is way better than that. So that's good because I was so worried because when I first heard news they're making a new anime series, I was kind of skeptical and a bit worried because seeing how the last three anime films went, they didn't do so well, unfortunately. And I thought to myself, maybe anime and Godzilla don't mix together. But I guess in this case, they proved us wrong. It was actually pretty good. So, story. The story is basically about Godzilla being prophesized to end the world, and the main characters are trying to find a way to stop him, pretty much. And the whole thing involves like science and codes, and this whole song that keeps playing out. This whole song that keeps playing throughout the whole series, which doesn't really get explained too much, you know. I'm still kind of confused in that, and that's another thing too I want to mention is that I think myself and everyone else who watched the series, we all can agree that some of the plot doesn't make sense really, and I think that's okay because actually I'll talk about it later because there is a season two, or at least I think there's a season two coming because there was something that was teased in the end of the series, which I'll get to that later. But yeah, the plot itself doesn't make too much sense at times. Like the whole song that was playing throughout the whole series, because the main characters encountered this like radio satellite thing. I'm sorry, not satellite. This radio single, whatever, that kept playing this song over and over again, and the point of that doesn't make too much sense to me, at least. And some of the plot itself, just like the monsters and the characters and such, or just the plot in general, don't make too much sense, you know. But it's not like you can't understand the whole entire plot. It's just bits of it you can't fully process, you know. It's just kind of hard to understand. But I'm not gonna lose faith in that part, and I'll tell you why later. But yeah. So the monsters, Godzilla's in this, obviously. We got Jet Jaguar, Manda, Anguirus, Rodan, and they also got some, um, what's the word? Some small cameos and references to other kaiju like Mothra and even Mogira at one point. And for the monsters that are actually in this series, I thought the designs were pretty good actually. Jet Jaguar, I was skeptical at first because when I first saw him in the trailer for the series, I didn't like how he was small and had long arms and shit, you know. But throughout the whole series, they upgraded him to having wheels and to having longer legs and a better body build, you know. And yeah, I'm glad they did that, and that they didn't stuck with the whole him being so small kind of thing, you know. I'm glad. And that's the thing too, is that Jet Jaguar actually has like a really big role in this series, and I like that. Sorry, I was coughing. The saliva got in my throat. Okay, I think I'm done now. I'm sorry. Anyway, Jet Jaguar. You know what? Fuck, I'm getting a drink. I'm sorry. I'm getting a fucking. Whew, okay, now I'm ready. Okay, so Jet Jaguar, he actually has a pretty big role in this series, and I love that because we actually haven't seen Jet Jaguar since Godzilla. I'm sorry, we actually haven't seen Godzilla since Godzilla vs. Megalon, and seeing him again just felt so good. You know, it felt. I was happy to see him again, basically. You know, in this design, yeah, it's still a bit weird, even with even with the upgrades they given him without the series. But his design is starting to grow on me. You know, I wouldn't say it's better than his first design in Godzilla vs Megalon, but I think it's okay. It's okay. I just don't like how big his body is and how his arms are kind of weird. You know, that's kind of about it. But it's all right. So the characters. So the big problem that the I'm sorry, the big issue with the animated trilogy was that the characters in that series, they were they all sucked. They sucked. I'm sorry, except for Mythius. I'll give him a pass because I liked how he actually had some character and had some build up, you know. But other than that, most of the characters, even the main character we're supposed to be following in that story, sucked because they didn't do anything. At times when situations were going down, like when explosions were happening or Godzilla was coming, this and that, they kind of didn't do things like they basically just stopped being human. Like they didn't do much during those situation times. At least in this series, the characters in this one actually do something when something's going on, like whether there be monster fighting or explosions or big situations. You know, they're actually doing something. And the thing about this series with its characters is that each and every one of the characters is engaging. Actually, they actually are engaging and they're more diverse. You know, however, with the anime trilogy, those characters they didn't have much character arc to them. You know, they're all pretty much the same and didn't do much. You know, and they weren't that engaging, and it's because the way they executed the characters, you know, because they weren't even doing that much, you know. All they were doing mainly was just talking, 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 and I mean, I get why sometimes because it's for story and for the audience to know what's going on and such. But have them do something, you know, like come on. And that's the thing too. In this series, the characters actually really do love the characters in this series. Like all the characters that shown up in this series, I really actually do love. And my favorite character has to go to, I think her name is Mel Yamako. I think it's how you say it. She was actually a pretty, she was actually a pretty good character. Actually, I love how she's kind of a nerd and a geek, but also loves science. I'm sorry, science, and just the character itself, I actually do love. So, yeah. And my second favorite character has to go to, I forgot his name, but I'll pull up a picture of him right now. I'll pull up a picture. He's the guy who actually created Jet Jaguar and pretty much piloted him throughout the whole series, you know. And I actually thought he was funny. He was entertaining, you know, and yeah. But this series does a very good job at introducing the characters and actually have them do something and having them have their own personality and that they're engaging, that they're diverse, you know. And that's good. That's good. I love that. That's good. And yeah, the series had 13 episodes and each of them were 24 minutes. And when I was watching this series, one thing that I noticed was that this is kind of sad, but Godzilla was actually barely in it. Like not in a bad way, like at least he wasn't in it for like what 6 minutes, like unlike no, sorry, rephrase. At least he was only on screen for just 6 minutes, like City on the Edge of Battle. Because in City on the Edge of Battle, Godzilla was actually only on screen in total for 6 minutes throughout the entire film. At least in this series, he's in it more and such. However, in the first half of the series, like the first 5 or 6 episodes, he's not really in it. It's just focusing more on the characters and the monsters. However, in this situation, it's actually okay because, like I said, the characters are actually engaging. They're great, and even just following the characters and seeing what they're doing, it's actually pretty fun. It's exciting, and like the way they handle the situations in the series is actually pretty good. And sorry, but the way they're handling the characters in the series is actually spot on. And yeah, like even if the series didn't have Godzilla, just us following the characters themselves and see what they're doing, it's interesting. It's engaging, you know, and the characters themselves are really appealing to the audiences, and yeah, so that's that's good. At least the characters aren't bad, because if the characters were bad, if they were bad and we didn't see Godzilla, if we didn't see Godzilla throughout the whole series, then that would have been bad. But no, the characters, like I said, they're actually pretty damn good. So yeah, but it is kind of disappointing seeing that Godzilla is barely in it. You know, like he's in it for the second half, but for the first half he's not. The first monsters are the first monsters that actually do appear in the first half are actually Rodan, Anguirus, and Manda, and Jet Jaguar. But that's about it. So yeah, but at least in the second half they delivered by giving us like action and monster fights from Godzilla and such. You know, so it was all pretty good. And yeah, so Godzilla himself. In a way, when I was watching this series, I actually kind of thought of Shin Godzilla because in this series, Godzilla's actually going through a whole evolution again, like transforming into different forms and shit. You know, he's doing that again in this series, except like when he evolves, it's not like we don't actually see him like evolve. Basically, it just cuts to a screen from his first form, then it cuts to another screen. All of a sudden, he's now in his second form, which I would have liked to see how he evolves. I mean, yeah, they do show up for the last two forms where where he's in a cocoon, but for the first two forms, they don't really show that. They just kind of show us like a clip of how to explain this. Like one scene you see Godzilla in his first form, then it cuts to a second scene in just a second, and then all of a sudden he's into a new form. That's basically how it is. But in Shin Godzilla, we actually got to take time. I'm sorry. In Shin Godzilla, we actually got to see Godzilla evolve. You know, I would like to see that in single point, but that's okay. And the stages that Godzilla has taken in this series, the designs themselves, like for example, the water form, his variant form, the green form, and his actual form, all those designs are actually pretty damn interesting. I mean, the first two don't look nothing like Godzilla. The third one kind of does in a way, but the last one obviously does. But for the most part, the designs for each form is actually pretty interesting. And I can't say like if you didn't know that these three forms were Godzilla, then you probably wouldn't have guessed it was Godzilla without someone telling you. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is here is that if you're watching this series and you saw these three forms of Godzilla and you weren't aware that all these were one and the same, that it was Godzilla, you know, without someone telling you, then you probably wouldn't have never guessed it was Godzilla because they these forms don't really look like Godzilla at all, actually. But that's actually like that. I like that. It's interesting. At least all these forms have something in common that resembles Godzilla, and that is the spikes on their back. So that's one thing to identify that it is Godzilla. But for the most part, all these forms look nothing like him. But that's okay, actually. That's okay. So, yeah. And watching this series, like I was waking up every morning and staying up all night watching the series, and I had a really really fun time with the series, the stories, the characters, the monster action. There's so much more action in this series than the animated trilogy, so that's actually a way a big upgrade, you know, a big step up from the animated trilogy. So that's great. That's great. So yeah, guys, what do I have to say? The characters are good. The story is good, but it's a bit confusing. The monsters are amazing. The fights, the action is spot on. And either way, even if this series wasn't a Godzilla series, but it just focused on the characters, it will still actually be a good series, you know? And it's interesting. It's engaging. Even just being with the characters more than the monsters is still you're still gonna have a fun time, and it's still interesting. You know, like the characters themselves are just that good. So I'm proud of them for that. I'm proud of them for that. So the series, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. There we go, a 10 out of 10 because the series is fun. No, not to mention too, this is actually the first time Toho actually made, or at least I think so, actually made an actual Godzilla series. Because most of the time when Toho's making Godzilla content, it's always in the form of a movie. But this time, it's been in the form of a series, episodes and such, you know. And seeing how they managed to make all this happen and the way they executed things like characters, story, and the monsters and such, you know, they did actually a pretty good job. Actually, they did a pretty good job, and actually that reminds me. So I believe there's gonna be a season 2 because at the very last episode there's actually a post credit scene showing, this is a spoiler alert if you guys haven't actually seen the post credit scene, but there's actually a post credit scene in the very last episode of the season, and it shows them building Mecha Godzilla. And I honestly didn't even think that Mecha Godzilla actually would be in this series. I just didn't see him having a role or do anything specific in this series. But I thought the same way for the Legendary series. But surprisingly, in the Legendary series, they actually brought in Mecha G. So I guess Fumi 1, shame on you. Fumi twice, shame on me. So yeah. So I'm actually was surprised that Mecha G is coming. That he actually was in this series. Well, he wasn't in the series though, but they teased him being in the second season basically. But he is coming though. He is coming, and he is in this series. So yeah. Okay, I'm done. But yeah, guys, Mechagodzilla is coming. He is coming, and I'm sorry. I'm kind of talking like way too much. I'm kind of losing my voice, so I'm sorry for that. But I probably should stop right now. But yeah, guys, the series is a 10 out of 10. It's a great series. Go watch it, and it's way better than the anime Choji. I'll tell you that. And yeah, guys, thumbs up for Toho for making the series happen, and the way they executed things and handle things, the way they handle everything. Good job, Toho. Good job. So yeah. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Ciao. Man, my throat hurts.